This is ERi-TV English news broadcast, dear viewers. I'm your reporter Kassab, and following are the major headlines for today. President Afar Operation conducted an interview with the local media outlets on 12 February. Afar Operation commemoration in United Kingdom. South Africa declares a state of national disaster after floods in 7 provinces. And Russia to reroute oil exports to friendly states, according to officials. On your local reports, President Afar Operation conducted an interview with the local media outlets on 12 February. Miriam Girmay will read the following report.
The first part of the interview President Afar Operation conducted with the local media outlets on 12 February in the port city of Massawa was focused on the 3 reckless offensives that the TPLF has intermittently launched during critical harvest times for 2 years, the political and military underpinnings of the cessation of hostilities agreement that the TPLF was ultimately compelled to sign, as well as the prospects of the peace process in the period ahead. President Isaias underlined that the crucial question that we need to ponder is why this destructive war was necessary and why it was waged in the first place. President Isaias noted that the TPLF had inculcated huge damages during its 27 years of repressive rule in Ethiopia. It was removed from power, and subsequent 2018 peace agreement between Eritrea and Ethiopia had ushered in a period of hope and optimism in the region and beyond. These developments fostered anxiety in its handlers in Washington, who nudged it to indulge in reckless military offensives. Miscalculation on the balance of power was another factor behind these deplorable debacles. The TPLF was made to sign the cessation of hostilities agreement in Pretoria, worked out mainly by Washington with overarching intent of precluding its total military defeat. Be this as it may, Eritrea has no reservations if the peace agreement is implemented in good faith and in its entirety. This must be ascertained through meticulous monitoring. The war has inculcated a huge loss of life as hundreds of thousands of Tigrayans were conscripted through various subterfuges. In this regard, the issue of accountability of the forces who instigated and pursued the war is of utmost importance. President Isaias also elucidated with historical facts the implications of the new U.S. national security strategy for global and regional peace. In this regard, President Isaias underlined that the deep-rooted political culture anchored on greed and domination by a tiny few was the primary cause of the turmoil and the conflicts that have bedeviled the world in the past decades. These tiny few do not aspire for peace and stability based on common values and interests. They relentlessly pursue a zero-sum game policy. The new national security strategy does not contain novel concepts and semantics and packaging aside. Its main thrust is to revive and bolster the defunct unipolar world order. President Isaias referred to a memorandum that Eritrea had sent to the Trump administration in an effort to highlight the historical wrongs meted to Eritrea by the U.S. for 80 long years since the denial of its rights of decolonization in the 1940s, purportedly because this did not serve U.S. strategic interests. This did not entail a substantive change of policy. On the prospects of a new and balanced international order, President Isaias noted that the countries of Africa, Asia, and Latin America have borne the brunt of war and destruction that emanate from the policies and proponents of greed and domination. This has engendered a growing awareness both in the countries of the global south as well as in other powers adversely affected by the policies of containment. This has not crystallized to assume meaningful institutional form, but still remains a reactive and natural response or trend that can grow with time. Second part of a 4-part interview will be done next week.
Proceeding with your local reports, nationals in the United Kingdom commemorated the 33rd anniversary of Afar Operation on 12 February under the Team Afar Resolute Commitment. According to reports, the commemoration event that was organized in London was attended by a number of nationals. At the occasion, Mr. Tawalde Yohannes, Head of Public and Community Affairs at the Eritrean Embassy in the UK and Northern Ireland, gave briefing on the historical background of Afar Operation and commended the nationals that contributed for the colourful event. The occasion has been highlighted by cultural and artistic programs. The participants on their part expressed readiness to stand alongside the people and play due part in the national affairs. Ambassador Mahmoud Ali Hurui, Governor of Kashbarka region, held a meeting with public representatives and subzonal administrators of the subzones of Aordat, Mogolo, Jiga, Mansoura and Sel'a, as well as members of the Eritrean Defense Forces in areas focusing on the objective situation in the homeland and implementation of the charted out development programs. At the meeting, Ambassador Ali Hurui said that as a result of encouraging participation of the public and members of the Defense Forces, a number of development programs have been successfully implemented and called for more participation for better outcome. Ambassador Ali Hurui also called on subzonal administrators and army commanders to play leading role in the effort being exerted to enable the public become beneficiaries of social services, as well as in the awareness development of the society in general and that of the youth in particular. The participants on their part conducted extensive discussion on topics raised at the meeting. Ambassador Zemede Takhle, Commissioner of Culture and Sports, conducted tour on 10 February to the Adelis archaeological site. Ambassador Zemede said that the archaeological excavation process, beyond its historical importance, has significant contribution in the capacity development of the Eritrean youth and commended excavation activities so far registered, as well as on the new archaeological findings. During his visit, Ambassador Takhle was provided briefings by archaeologists working at the site. The Adelis archaeological excavation project started in 2011 in cooperation with Eritrean and Italian archaeological experts. On your last local report, Mr. Abdurrahman Usman, Eritrea's Consul General in Jeddah, and Mr. Mohammed Ali Mohammed Saeed, Head of Public and Community Affairs, conducted seminars from 3 to 10 February to nationals in South Saudi on the objective situation in the homeland. At the seminars organized in Kamis Misheti, Jizan, Al-Namas and Talnuma, Mr. Abdurrahman Usman and Mr. Mohammed Ali Mohammed Saeed called on the nationals to strengthen organizational capacity and participation in the national affairs. The participants, commending for the consular and other services that are being provided, expressed readiness to strengthen participation and contribution in the implementation of the national development programs. At the occasion, the nationals in Talnuma and Al-Namas contributed 13,000 Saudi riyals towards strengthening activities of the communities. That was domestic news, dear viewers. Do stay with us for the international reports after the short break. Welcome back. Yesterday, South Africa declared a state of national disaster after floods caused by heavy rains in recent days have already left 7 people dead and others missing, according to disaster management centers in several provinces. The government has declared a state of national disaster to enable a sustained and coordinated response to the impact of the floods, the presidency said in a statement. A national toll has not yet been released, but the bad weather threatened 7 provinces out of the 9 that the country has, mainly on the east coast open to the Indian Ocean. At least 5 people died in KwaZulu-Natal, according to spokeswoman of the Disaster Management Center of the coastal province. Roads and bridges were also damaged and cars were washed away. The National Weather Center is predicting persistent and heavy rains ahead, with the risk of flooding due to waterlogged soils and saturated rivers. South Africa experienced the worst flooding in its history last year, mainly affecting Durban, the country's 3rd largest city and a major port on the continent. Heavy rains triggered impressive mudslides that swept away people, bridges, roads and entire buildings. On your final report, energy supplies will not go to countries that support price caps, Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak has said. Russia intends to shift the exports of its oil and petroleum products to friendly countries this year, increasing their share in total supplies shipped abroad to 75–80%, the Deputy Prime Minister has revealed. He noted that oil production in Russia amounted to 535.2 million tons in 2022, which is 2% more in the previous year. Oil exports increased by 7.6% to 242 million tons, Novak wrote. The Deputy Prime Minister also noted that last year, in order to reorient Russian oil supply to friendly countries, a project was implemented to increase transportation via the major eastern port of Kozmino. As a result, deliveries to the countries in the Asia-Pacific region rose to 42 million tons per year. Moscow has been diversifying its energy supplies in response to Western sanctions. The measures prohibit Western companies from financing, insuring, trading, brokering, or carrying cargoes of Russian crude and oil products unless they were bought at or below the set price caps. You're still watching ERi-TV, the viewers, and now recap of the major headlines. President Isaias Afwerki conducted an interview with the local media outlets on 12 February. Afar Operation commemoration in United Kingdom. South Africa declares a state of national disaster after floods in 7 provinces. And Russia to reroute oil exports to friendly states, according to officials. Dear viewers, that was it for today. Thanks for watching and enjoy the remaining of our programs.